years or whatever, where they have to speak a lot and they have to, you know, be perfect in their English and stuff. So I believe that it's not the case for software engineering. It's fine. If you,
And George, do you share this view?
Oh yeah, of course, especially in this city, which can be the informal capital of multiculturalism in the world. We have so many different cultures all living together and collaborating so nicely. And I'll go a step further and even say that most companies try to encourage diversity. And I mean, they would like to have people from different backgrounds in their offices, because every person that comes from a different background can bring a different kind of experience, different kind of view in the office. To be more specific, in my team, in the software engineering department of my company, we have people from France, Spain, Italy. I'm from Cyprus, but from Asia too. We have Indians, we have people from Pakistan, and me myself, I'm supervising a very intelligent guy from China. So yeah, we have people from like 10 nationalities, 10, 11, something like that. So yeah, London is definitely the place for diversity and multiculturalism.
Nice. And my final question to you, and then I will ask the questions. I will ask the audience to ask you any questions they have. For the people that are still in uni and are looking to apply for jobs in the tech industry, what would you say was your biggest obstacle when you were applying for jobs or going through uni? And what would your advice be to the new graduates?
So when I remember back when I was applying for jobs, it was quite hard as a graduate to land my first job. And when I say it's quite hard because it's not that you're not good, but you have to beat the competition. There's so many graduates there, and they all apply for the same jobs. So if there's one job available and 10 people applying for it, in order to get it, it's not enough to be good. You have to be better than 9 other people. But don't let that let you down, because if you persevere, if you insist, and if you don't get disappointed, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 months later, you're gonna land a job. That happens to everyone, no matter who you are. You're not gonna land your first job. There's always someone who's gonna land it, because it's not his first job either. He's had so many disappointments before. Yeah, I remember it took me like 6 months to get my job, but once I got it, I'm super happy about it.
Nice.
Language, sorry.
Sorry, what would you say, what would your advice be to people who are graduating now? Did you get any help from anyone during that time?
It's very important to seek help to build your CV and do some practice interviews with someone who knows, of course, because the CV is the first thing that the company sees, and they take about 30 seconds, maybe less than that, because they receive a whole bunch of CVs for each open position, and they spend 30 seconds or less. They just reject or pass, reject or pass. So a CV coach or a career coach would be really helpful. I had a friend who was a senior developer, and he was doing interviews back then, and he had a lot of experience, so he could explain to me how to prepare my CV and what to say in interviews. So yeah, I had some kind of help, but yeah, I'm not sure if everyone has that kind of friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Andreas, how about you? What was your biggest obstacle when you were applying for jobs?
Yeah, first of all, it was I wasn't confident, and the reason was, as George said, I didn't have much experience interviewing, and I wasn't that confident. I wasn't confident with my English as well, but if you don't practice, then you don't improve anyway. And I was too focused on my projects, on my university projects, which I wasn't I wasn't really aware of what's happening out there, or the job interviews, or which companies are hiring, and all these things. Even though my university was doing lots of events, I wasn't really paying attention. I was just focusing on my studies, which was a big mistake. And I just my friends were telling me that they're going to those events and stuff. I did go one day, and I realized how useless I am on interviewing and stuff. And then I started applying last minute for banks, because I didn't know when the deadlines were. That's another important thing. You need to know where the deadlines of each company are. And the deadlines for the banks were at the end of December, I guess. And they were hiring for the next year. So it was like 9 or 8 months before joining the bank, the very last interview. So I went to the last interview, to the last batch of interviews, and I just managed to apply for 2 jobs. The first rejected me because of my CV. Then I had to change my CV. This is very important as well, as George said. I had to go to some experts they had on the university, where they were checking my CV and they were giving recommendations on what to change. And then I applied for another job, Bank of America, and after I did lots of practice, I got the job I was lucky enough to get from the first interview. I didn't do any.
So your approach, Andreas, was the risky approach.
Yeah.
You wouldn't advise that.
I wouldn't advise us, yeah. I was just lucky. I did one interview and I got the job.
No, I would say they must have seen something in you, so you shouldn't put yourself down. So this was all for me, guys. And there are some questions from the audience. So the first one is, how does one start learning programming, and which language is the easiest one, do you think, George?
How does someone, well, it depends on their background. Are they starting from zero? If they're starting from zero and they don't come from a STEM field background, I would advise to look for a course, maybe on Udemy. Udemy is a website that provides a lot of courses for business-oriented people. It's not going to go deep like a university course, which will focus on the science. It's going to focus on the development side of things. An easy language to get started with would be Python. It's very close to the human language. It can run quite easily. You can write a piece of code in a very few lines. You can execute it. You don't need any additional, a lot of extra work to make it work. So yeah, a tutorial online or a course on Udemy or any other online platform would be a good start.
Guys, thank you, George. That was really useful. Guys, just to say, sorry, this is my fault. If you want to ask a question, just put it in the chat or unmute your microphones and say hello. As you can see, we're a small group and we are all really friendly. So if you want to say hello, please do. The other related question to what George was talking about now is whether, from a business point of view, is it worth learning a programming language rather than paying for a service? Given that there's so many talented programmers out there, is it worth trying to learn something yourself? Andreas, what do you think?
So yeah, if I got the question right, is if it's worth like learning yourself and doing the application yourself instead of just outsourcing to someone else the project or whatever you have in mind, you mean?
The question, Haris.
So I will say, I mean, depends on the project that you want to do. If it's like a super complex project that requires like lots of engineers, then I wouldn't recommend you. And if it's if the application is like it's facing like it's security issues or lots of software engineering skills, I would recommend to instruct like a professional firm for that. But if it's something small, yeah, definitely you should, and you should try learn yourself and do it yourself. Like, make a script, for example, to scrape the web for whatever and give you a report daily. That's very interesting small projects that you can do that will motivate you as well to learn something. Like create small projects for you that are useful for you, and this is the way to learn properly how to program. Not only just going to tutorials, but also do some projects that are important for you, that you love doing, and they motivate you to learn building a project. And by building a project, you're learning as well.
Nice. George, do you agree?
Yeah, I could. If I understand the question correctly, I would say that people need to understand that's two things software developer working for a company that needs to have. First is the technical skills, which is Java knowledge, for example. I'm expert in Java. I'm not myself, but you're very good at Java. That's great. You can work in Java. And the second thing, which is sometimes more important, the domain knowledge, which is the way the specific company uses Java to deliver their features. And domain knowledge takes time to get, takes months or maybe years. So each company invests in their developers. You cannot outsource everything unless they're very, very small independent projects, which is not the case for most big companies. You can outsource things yourself, but it's much better, much easier to invest in a software developer, bring them in, train them, explain them, let them get experience on the domain of your company, and then keep them and let them maintain your system. Training someone in your domain takes time, and it's not the easiest thing to do, to outsource all pieces of information, unless you have a stable outsourced